Greetings and welcome to Passion to Profits Podcast, COVID-19 CARES Act 2020 episode, Season 2, where we provide you with local, state, federal, and global news, updates, resources, tips, and strategies, everything that you need to know and how to act accordingly for you, your family, your business, and community. This is your host today, Teresa W. Gamble, the founder and CEO of CRPC Consulting, doing business as Concierge Resource Professional Consultants, headquartered in Northeast Florida, and E&T Gamble Enterprises, LLC, headquartered in Southeast Georgia. We are an award-winning small business minority woman-owned administrative management consulting firm where we provide strategic consulting, coaching, connections, and communication training and facilitation for small business owners at any stage of the business life cycles to help you create or repair your processes for sustainable multiple revenue streams. And currently we are offering an expert on-call service to help you pivot your processes during this time of pandemic with COVID-19. Today I would like to share some information that was on a webinar that was hosted on today by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, that's the NAACP. They were established in 1909 and is America's oldest and largest civil rights organization. It was formed in New York City by white and black activists, partially in the response to the ongoing violence against African Americans around the country. In the NAACP's early decades, its anti-lynching campaign was central to its agenda. During the civil rights era during the 1950s and 60s, the group won major legal victories, and today the NAACP has more than 2,200 branches and some 500,000 members worldwide. To learn more about the NAACP and their initiatives at this point, their website is www.naacp.org. The NAACP webinar Paycheck Protection Program PPP Action Call was held on Thursday, April the 23rd, 2020. The participants on this webinar was Derek Johnson, the president and CEO of the NAACP, Marvin Owens, Senior Director of Economic Programs in NAACP, Staff Representative of Congressman Dwight Evans, Vice Chair of the House Small Business Committee, Irene Davis, CPA Partner Mitchell Titus, LLC, Bill Bynum, CEO of Hope Credit Union, Kenneth Kelly, Chairman and CEO, First Independence Bank, Tia Moore. Mr. Johnson opened it up with remarks, and then Marvin Owens, he introduced the panelists who I just read for you. And one of their highlights of discussion was determining and calculating eligibility for the Payment Protection Plan PPP loan amounts. They were discussing about under the Paycheck Protection Program, the maximum loan amount is lesser of $10 million or an amount that you will calculate using a payroll-based formula specified in the CARES Act. So in other words, you need to familiarize yourself with the CARES Act. The formula is average payroll cost, which is your annual payroll cost divided by 12, multiplied by 2.5. However you pay your employees, including yourself, you need to calculate that for a whole year. Whether you pay yourself through the bank, through your Cash App, through whatever means you use to track money, you need to download and pull all those statements to do your calculations for a whole year, and then you multiply it by 2.5. Then it goes on to say what is included for eligible payroll costs. Payroll costs consist of compensation to employees whose principal place of residence in the United States in the form of salary, wages, commissions, or similar compensation, cash, tips, or the equivalent, based on employer records of past tips, or in the absence of such records, a reasonable good faith employer estimates of such tips. So in other words, if you have a normal amount that you provide and issue out the tips to your employees, then that's a reasonable good faith. But in the future, you need to keep track of all of this. If you have to get a cash receipt app where you can keep records of it, where you can text those cash receipts to your employees, and afterwards you can be able to download those cash app cash receipts, text messages to your computer on an Excel spreadsheet. Record keeping is important. Payment for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave. You need to have records and tracking of all that. So everything needs to be done in writing, not verbal. If it is verbal, make sure the conversation is recorded or documented, but you let your employees know it's recorded, or either have them to leave you a recorded message. That will be your evidence, and download it and save it in your online computer files on your digital devices. Allowance for separation and dismissal. So in other words, that if you issue out severance packages, leave of absence, sabbaticals, you need to have all that information in writing, as well as calculating what the payroll cost is while they are away from the job. That also includes workers' compensation. Payments for the provision of employee benefits consist of group health coverage, including insurance premiums and retirement. You should receive an insurance premium statements for all your employees. You need to find that documentation or see if that's available for something you can get online through your agent, where you can have a snapshot of it for the whole year, as well as your retirement benefits, how much you're contributing, which if you have QuickBooks through Intuitive, it will track all your deductions for you, and you can have the graph, you can have the spreadsheet already calculated for you, nice and professional. The next topic they included was calculating average eligible payroll costs. Payment of state and local taxes assessed on compensation for employees, for an independent contractor or a sole proprietor, wage, commission, income, or net earnings from self-employment or similar compensation. So for your independent contractors, your 1099 contractors, your self-employed people, you need to be tracking your income, how you get paid, either through cash out. If you get paid in cash, there is a cash receipt app in Google Play Store or iTunes Store that you can download on your phone, and anytime you're participating in cash transactions, you can actually create a receipt where you can text message the receipt to the person who gave you the cash, and then you will have the record on the app for yourself of when and who paid you and what it was for times like this when you're trying to seek and apply for funding during this pandemic. Calculating average eligibility payroll costs. Any composition of an employee whose principal place of residence is outside of the United States. This is what's excluded. If you live outside the United States, the compensation of the individual employee is in excess of an annual salary of $100,000, prorated as necessary. Federal employment tax imposed or withheld between February 15, 2020 and June 30th, 2020. Those dates are important. Include the employees and employers' share of FICA, that's Federal Insurance Contribution Act, and Railroad Retirement Act taxes, along with income taxes required to be held from the employees. So this is where your CPA needs to come in to make sure you're deducting the right amount of employment taxes as necessary. Or you can check with the Department of Revenue with your state to also assist you with that. Along with qualified sick and family leave wages, for which is a credit is allowed under Section 7001 and 7003 of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. It's Public Law Publication 116127. You need to make sure you read over that. So if any of you are impacted by COVID-19 or any of your family members, this act will protect your job or will allow you to have sick and family leave wages credits. Family First Coronavirus Response Act. Independent contractors do not count as employees for purpose of payment protection loan calculations. Independent contractors have the ability to apply for protection payment loan on their own, so they do not count for purposes of a borrower's payment protection plan loan calculation. So independent contractors, this is where you really need to classify yourself the way I understood it, as an employee, not as a business owner, in order for you to be eligible for the payment protection plan program, because as an owner you are an employee and you should be paying yourself. Whether you actually take the money or use the money, you still need to be tracking it. So they also provided a note that participants should refer to the Small Business Administration application for the Payment Protection Program and the other guidelines issued by the SBA as they guide for applying and determining eligible loan amounts under the Payment Protection Program, not the information above. So this is a synopsis of what they extracted from that act, but they are sending you back to the SBA to make sure you familiarize yourself with that information. Then they go into talking about the documentations needed, which is the gross wages, head count support. Independent contractors and sole proprietors, you have to provide your tax returns, 1099s, or other documentation supporting self-employment income. So you need to have documentation. It cannot be something handwritten, unofficial. You can have Cash App, PayPal, Square Up, all Venmo, all the different ways you get paid, but you need to have a CPA to help you prepare and package that information before presenting it to the SBA. Because if it doesn't look presentable or legitimate, then that could be a reason that you will not be approved for the Payment Protection Act program. The summary of supporting exclusions for gross wages to individuals in excess of $100,000 annualized compensation, or exclusions of payroll for employees whose principal place of residence is not in the U.S. So if you do not reside in the United States, you cannot apply or be eligible for the Payment Protection Program. The additional documentation, you have to provide summary of retirement payments, in other words, contributions to a 401k or other benefit plans, summary or healthcare premiums or costs. Usually you get a printout at the end of the year from your health insurance agency that you have to file to the IRS. So I will go back to see the one that you received on December 2019 to kind of give you an estimate for the first quarter if you didn't change insurance companies. But if you have, then get with your insurance agent to help you provide that summary statement. 2019 financial statements, that includes your balance sheet, your income statement, or a personal financial statement if an independent contractor or a sole proprietor. Amounts you are reporting should be supported by your financial statements and books and records. So the Small Business Administration have financial statement templates of all these statements that they're requesting: the balance sheet, the income statement, the personal financial statement. This is something you need to always have updated. My suggestion is you update and do your checks and balances with your bank account every month to see what revenue you came in, what expenses went out, what accounts receivable you receive, what account of payables are pending, even your owner's equity, your salary, even though you're not taking it and using it, you may be reinvesting it back in the business, but you still need to track it for yourself. So on this information, you need to contact Irene Davis. Her number is area code 215-825-8034. And the website is mitchelltitus.com. All right, then Bill Bynum, he's the CEO of Hope Credit Union. He is talking about 1.66 million loans were approved for $342 billion. That's 74%. Less than $150,000 was awarded, and 17% was less than $150,000 awarded. The number of people applied was 74% for $150,000. The number of people that was funded was 17% that was under $150,000. Firms with strong banking relationships are prioritized. So you need to be aware, if you don't have a relationship with a bank, we're not talking about the corner store, the grocery store where you cash your checks or, get your funds faster than going through traditional banking systems. You need to take the time, build relationships with your bank, with your banker. That is one of the 4 things that as an entrepreneur you need to have: a banker, an accountant, an insurance person, and a lawyer. Then smaller businesses, independent contractors, churches, nonprofits were not well served. So those particular groups was not served well. So you need to be aware with your bank. Are you matched with are you connected with the right bank that will accommodate your industry or your status as a business owner? Small businesses, independent contractor, churches, nonprofits were not well served. So you need to investigate your bank. Then of the $310 billion in round 2 funding, $30 billion for insured depository institutions, less than $10 billion, community financial institutions, minority depository institutions, certified development companies, microloan intermediaries, of $10,000 or less, plus eligible lenders only 140 under $10 million. CDFIs and MDIs competing against 9,860 of the nation's 10,000 banks and credit unions. So, as you can see, there is disparity going on for us getting approval. So they talked about maximizing your likelihood of payment protection funding. If you apply for round 1, but you was not funded, find out the status of your application. Make sure your application is complete and ready for submission. If you're not satisfied, apply with a different lender. Consider a black bank, a credit union, or a CDFI organization. So I will do my research on black banks, credit unions, or CDFI. There should be a listing of those financial institutions that's participating. So if I was you, I would take the time and do some research and a track record. I know in Jacksonville, Florida, Vistar Credit Union is participating with the city of Jacksonville on funding. I'm not sure if they're also participating with the payment protection plan directly with the SBA, but that's a particular institution that I'm aware of that I know that's doing funding. Demand is triple the supply. Lenders have pipelines. Make sure yours is a priority. Make sure your application is complete. In other words, don't leave anything blank. Fill it out to the best of your knowledge. If you don't understand, that's where you need to reach out to experts, your congressman, your congresswoman, the NAACP, who have assigned designated people to help you get this information completed on the application. He has some contacts, some links for you to consider and research. blackbankusa.org/credit unions, blackbankusa.org/banks, cdifund.gov, hopecu.org. Hope Credit Union services Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. Mr. Bynum email address is bill.bynum, BYNUM, at hopecu.org. Then Kenneth Kelly, the chairman and CEO of First Independent Bank, and Taya Moore of Moore Associates was on the panel as well. They had a Q&A and they provided some supplemental facts. They said the $349 billion program known as Paycheck Protection Program in the $2 trillion CARES Act was intended as a key initiative to provide needed small business assistance. There was a surge in applications for the payment protection loans, and the first $349 billion was distributed in less than 2 weeks. As 1.6 million companies secured funding, many businesses was not able to obtain loans. Unfortunately, a number of large hotels and restaurant chains applied and received loans. Included in the additional $321 billion for the payment protection plan is $30 billion dedicated to community-based lenders like community development financial institutions and minority depository institutions with assets of less than $10 million, and other $30 billion dedicated to small banks and credit unions with assets between $10 million and $50 million. Together, this is $60 billion. Will help unbanked and unserved businesses to access the payment protection program, including minority businesses, rural businesses, mom and pop businesses, and nonprofits. The original payment protection plan also provided $10 billion in emergency grants in the amounts up to $10,000 for small businesses to pay for operating expenses. These loans can be forgiven if businesses keep their employees on the payroll through June 2020. This allocation of money ran out quickly as well. The Senate passed a $484 billion bill to replenish the payment protection program and allocated more money to hospitals and coronavirus testings. The breakout is as following. You may want to write this down. $310 billion for the payment protection loans, plus an extra $11 billion for administrative costs, equaling $321 billion for payment protection. $75 billion to hospitals, $25 billion to new coronavirus testing program, $60 billion for a separate small business emergency grant and loan program, $11 billion for administrative costs. Again, the NAACP is referencing you to the Payment Protection Program BARS application at the Small Business Administration website. That's sba.gov. You have just listened to Passion to Profits Podcast COVID-19 CARES Act 2020 episode Season 2 on local, state, federal, and global news, updates, resources, tips, and strategies. Everything that you need to know and act upon for yourself, your family, business, community, organization, and church. Stay tuned and stay connected on our future episodes. Do share this podcast, and most importantly, stay home, stay safe, and virtually connected. Thank you.